guys, welcome to this episode of Camel Wives. Today we are reliving through some of my hunting experience in the Javelina hunt and talking about a coyote encounter that I had while on a walk. So we're going to talk about some funny stuff today. Let's start with the Javelina experience. Before I tell my side of the story, I want to know what you were doing when Dion took off and gave off the first shot.
So I stopped actively looking for the javelina at that point. I had just told Dion right before it all happened. I told him, you know what, I'm gonna stop looking and start kind of just enjoying it. I turned up the music and I started singing and dancing. And as I was doing it, Dion just slams on the brakes and runs out. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, javelina. He's all boofed. I was like, oh, it's time. It's time to go. Let's do this. And then I see you guys pull up, and it all just happened so fast.
It really did. It happened really fast.
I thought that the javelina took off. And as you guys walked up, and I'm over there moseying on, I was tired. I was out of breath. I was not expecting that. I saw you guys tell me to get down. I'm like, oh shoot, it's probably still there then. And that's when I noticed that where it was at and that you were taking your aim. And it was really cool to see it from my point of view. I was rooting for you, and I was super excited and hoping that you would harvest that day. I want to know how you were feeling in that moment.
First, how far do you think we ran?
It had to have been
maybe a quarter mile. I don't think it was that far.
No, I think it was maybe 50 yards. Maybe.
See, 50 yards is pretty far. Distance.
Yeah. We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was about 50 yards. Because I want to say the javelina was 100 yards away.
Mm-hmm. From where we were,
yeah.
When I took the shot, probably about 150 yards, I think Lou said.
Yeah, I think from where we ran from the side-by-sides to where you stopped to shoot, it was probably about 50, 60 yards. But it felt like an eternity. And then I'm over there trying to film you, and I could hear myself trying to breathe because I ran and I didn't know what was going on. It just all happened so quickly.
It did. It really did. I was actually not paying attention at all. I was looking at my phone because I was like, ooh, it's noon. And usually the Saturday after indoor, they post the archery scores. So I'm browsing, and Lou's like, well, where am I? Where do I rank? And so I'm counting. I'm counting to see what number he is. And then suddenly he stops and he's like, there's a javelina. And I'm like, and I'm thinking well, Dion's got it because he took the first shot. And then suddenly Lou's grabbing the rifle and he's like, get out. And I'm like, oh, it's happening right now. Okay. But I had no idea. I was very much oh, they're going to just he's going to go get one and whatever. But next thing I know, I'm running to go get in position, and I have no idea what's going on. I had never used that. What did he call it? Is it a sissy stick that he called it?
I don't know what they're called. I just call it a bipod.
Yeah,
tripod.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know what it was called, but whatever it was called, he sets it up or whatever. And then I had never used one of those, so I have no idea. I was able to hold steady, but I think I was having a more difficult time trying to stay steady on this thing because it almost felt like it's carrying me, but it's not carrying me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was adrenaline or the fact that I was out of breath, probably a little bit out of shape. But I see it, and I could see the scope going like this around the pig.
You're all,
and I'm like, oh no. And I don't want to take a shot and then miss or hit the skull.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting and waiting, and then the next thing I know, it's taken off a little bit, and I'm like, well, that went my opportunity now to get another one. But luckily, it stopped and it was by itself, and it gave me all the time in the world to get the first shot. I was actually surprised that it took the 3 shots that it did.
Yeah.
The first shot was through the gut. And it still, it looked confused. It's making circles.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, that's a tough animal.
I think we were all really confused after we saw it go down, and then we're all kind of talking and celebrating, and then we just see it kind of moseying back up the hill. We're like, wait a minute, was there another one, or is that still the same javelina?
That was so confusing. I was super confused too. I was like, first off, I'm like, can I take the shot? Because I already shot one, and I don't know if that's my javelina or not.
Yeah.
So now we're all confused.
Yeah, I think as soon as they had seen it in the scope, they're like, "Oh no, yeah, it is the same javelina. Go ahead and shoot it again." I think we were golden, but it was crazy, yeah, how many shots it took. But I think it was just the moment and everything put together. I think you did an amazing job. I was so happy the minute that I had seen you take it down.
It was so
just
fun. I had such a great time.
it was, and I feel like really blessed to be able to be a part of your first harvest and everything. It's just fun to be able to see other people enjoying the same thing that we enjoy.
I was super impressed with myself. 3 shots, and I did hit it
All
all
three
3 times. It just, the first time went through the gut. The second time I hit it too high. It was like up in the
like
spine.
yeah,
Like you could see the area that I hit it very clearly. And then the third time I hit it behind the jaw. Hopefully once we actually take a look at it, it's not damaged. But
but at least it'll be like a souvenir.
Be a
Like,
good
hey,
story.
I shot it through there.
I do still have the casing of the.
Do you?
I do.
Oh, that's awesome. You
So
can
I'll
like
be able
glue
to
it to your European head. That'll
It'll
be
be
awesome.
so nice. I'll date it and stuff. That's my first ever animal.
That's awesome. I'm so happy that we all got to go out there and just basically have fun all day. We rode almost all morning, and then
Like out of in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
by itself, is this perfect javelina. Like, here, come get me.
yeah, here I am.
Here I am by myself. There's not another one in sight.
Nope. I wonder if it was a little thrown off because there was a deer that was right there with them too, and he kind of got up and like walked away, and I don't know if the javelina even thought anything, and I don't know. It was just really cool to see everything, to see the different animals.
I
to-
thought it was super funny that we were like filming probably 15 minutes before talking
Yeah.
about like the fact that we hadn't seen anything
Mhm.
and we were just like out there shooting the shit and hanging out and eating and whatever. And then suddenly and it wasn't even that far. We probably drove like 10,
Yeah, maybe about
maybe
10
15
minutes. Yeah.
15 minutes. And that's like at a max time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just perfect timing. The weather was great. Everything just aligned that day. And
Lou
it
was so
fun.
excited. I was so excited. The first time that when I couldn't take the shot and he got his javelina, I was a little bit like upset because I don't want to let him down,
Mhm.
and I felt like I was a little bit embarrassed. I was a little bit upset. I didn't want him to feel like I failed, and so like all of these emotions were running, and to actually be able to live that with him, that was super special.
That's awesome. I know you were pretty quiet that first time that we had gone out there. I wasn't sure what you were feeling at that time, but I just didn't want to poke the bear. And then it was too cold. I was like, nah, I'm just gonna get back.
It
to
was
the side by side
cold
that
and it
time.
happened super fast. And it was the first time I had seen even Lou in our 4 years. We haven't been able to harvest together. And so it was the first time we actually got to like experience that both of us have been able to get an animal.
What did he tell you when you guys got home that day?
Which day?
The day that you harvested.
He's super proud of me, truthfully. I'm grateful that he's a really good teacher. Luckily, like maybe half an hour before we were out there shooting the pistol and also taking some practice shots with the rifle, which was hilarious, by the way.
That was my favorite part.
Because he did. Like, he told me, he's like, "Do you see the shiny rock?" And I'm like, "I don't see the shiny rock, but I see a white rock." I'm gonna assume that's what he's talking about. But 40 yards and 400 yards are not the same thing.
Yeah, I was looking for the shot that time far away. I'm like, huh, I didn't see it. I don't know if she got it. And that's when the guys are like, that was the wrong shiny rock you weren't aiming at.
But I hit it.
Yeah.
I did hit both rocks. It was just
you had to get some credit right there.
That's right.
So tell us about the encounter with the coyote.
So
walk us through it. I know that you and one of our other coworkers go out and do your guys' walks in the morning. Like, explain what happened from start to finish.
Okay. Personally, I think it's the most hilarious thing to experience. I tell everybody, like, at work, I'm a boss. In life, I'm like a goldfish out of water. I'm not like the brightest crayon in the box by any means. And so we're walking, and it's dark. I mean, it's like 5:45 in the morning, maybe. So it's dark as we're walking up the street, and this coyote is going the other way but I didn't see it. She actually saw it first.
Uh-huh.
And so we're walking, and at first I didn't think anything of it because we're walking in one direction and it's walking in the opposite direction. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. But we have headlamps on, and I'm sure when we turned to look, we probably got its attention. So now it's walking towards us, and you got like Tweedledee and Tweedledum like walking up the street, and we're both like, what do we do? She's like, what do we do if it comes by? I'm like, we just kick the shit out of it. Like, what other option? All I have on me is pepper spray. I don't have anything else on me. I'm like, what? I don't have any other instinct, which is funny, because we're actually walking on a paved road where there's like a ton of lava rock from all the decorative, but neither of us had like the thought of like pick up a rock and like throw it that way to distract or like deter it. Neither of us had that thought in that moment. So we continue to walk, and she's like looking that way, and now we're walking, she's walking like this, and now I'm walking like this because I'm trying to like
escape it.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. And finally she's like distracted, and I was like, do you want to like go back? Because I don't know what my options are. Like, can I pepper spray a coyote? I don't know. Will that work? So we keep walking, and the next thing I know, she like looks right at it, and she's like, "Go on, get!" And I was like, "That is the best thing." And all I could say was like, "Good job!" Like, you did it, because it took off after that. But I was like, "Wow, we are not the brightest crayons in the box." I could only imagine how hilarious it would have looked, like watching us from the outside.
I think that would have been funny. I would have loved to have been there to
Even she told me after, she's like, it's hilarious because there's like a ton of rocks right here. Neither of us had the thought of like, oh, I will pick up a rock and throw it at this animal. Instead, I'm like, well, we'll kick the shit out of the animal if it comes close. Like, I don't know.
I saw her post, and she's like, when she said that you said that, she's like, my thought was like, now I'm going to kick this animal and it's going to bite me in the leg and now I can't walk. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how far did they spiral down this rabbit hole?
We went way down this rabbit hole. I tell you, and we were already pretty far. We were over there near the Calichis already.
Oh, wow.
So we were way up there. And I mean, to turn back, you're talking about like a 20-minute walk back either way, either 15 minutes to the Calichis or 20 minutes this way. We're kind of in that area. And so I was like, do you want to go back? Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What are we supposed to do in this moment? This is why Lou hunts for both of us, because I'm still very much figuring out the wild. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I am very much there with you. I really don't pay attention half the time, and I'm pretty sure we could probably see more animals if I'm paying more attention, but I get distracted too easily.
Yeah, I zone out. Usually I get caught up in my own thoughts because like nature helps me to relax, and now I'm like running like work scenarios or future scenarios, like, okay, well, I got to this or I got to that, when I get home this or get home that. Then the next thing I know, he's like, are you looking for Javelina? And I'm like, oh yeah, we're still hunting.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Doing that. Oh. And I'll just say yes. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, are you seeing any moving rocks? I'm like, no
luck yet.
Nothing that probably would count as a Javelina. Birds, I see birds.
That counts.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we have for y'all today. Remember to subscribe to our social media platforms. Remember to subscribe to YouTube. Follow us on TikTok. Until next time, ladies, bye.
Bye.